Promise this afternoon. The AFC Central Division standings look like this. By Fireside, Cleveland 7-4-1. They're hanging on. Houston, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati are all right there, and something's got to shake today because they're all playing against each other. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jim Donovan, along with Bob Trumpy. It is ice cold. We'll talk about the weather as the afternoon goes along. A tale of two different past weeks. Pittsburgh won a game that nobody expected them to win last week in Miami. Houston had a nightmare in Kansas City getting shut out, so the keys trump.
Well, I think for Houston, they have to run the football. They have to be able to get Ernest Gibbons and Drew Hill in the football game. And for Pittsburgh, last week they got 95 yards rushing out of Tim Worley. They got to do that today. And, of course, Houston, the best rushing defense in the AFC, a very tough task for Pittsburgh.
And the big question mark still around Houston has to be the injuries.
Yeah, no question about that. Very little hitting this week. Jerry Glanville said we didn't touch each other. We want to make sure we are healthy. Gibbons and Hill are the two main factors on the offense. They're not going to start. They'll be used sparingly. But Jerry Glanville realizes that this physical Pittsburgh football team is going to make it very difficult on his injury-laden team.
There's Glanville, fourth season as Oilers head coach. He had a tough week of practice with all of those injuries. On the other sideline, Chuck Noll has his team back in it. Very proud of the way they played in Miami. As a matter of fact, he got the game ball last week, I guess for the great coaching job. He didn't want to admit it to us, but he got the game ball after the big win in Miami.
That was an absolutely remarkable win when you consider that Pittsburgh was down 14-0. Had gone 3 downs and out 3 straight times, and then suddenly turned it around and blew the Miami Dolphins off the field.
So that's the way it looks series-wise, and of course there's a lot of bad blood between these two teams. They just plain old don't like each other as Kenny Johnson takes the opening kickoff for the Oilers from his goal line, finds a crease, gets hit out over the 25-yard line to the 26, where he's brought down by Gerald Williams, a linebacker. And here come the Oilers on offense, where they were absolutely stymied last week. The offensive line is a bit healthier. Jay Pennison gets the start at center. He's got a bad knee, and Bruce Matthews goes back to his normal spot at right guard. Moon with Highsmith and Rozier. They'll be big factors in the game. They want to run. Jeffries and Duncan get the start because of the injuries, and Morosco's at tight end. When they go to the red gun, here's what happens. Gibbons and Drew Hill will come in, the injured wide receivers who normally start. So out over their own 25-yard line at the 26. Rozier and Highsmith ready to go, and Rozier gets the first carry and brings it out to the 30-yard line. Olszewski is in on the tackle, the rookie out of Pitt, a 10th-round draft choice for the Steelers. Let's check the Steelers' front seven. Willis, Williams, and Johnson getting better week by week. The linebackers, Hinkle, Little, Olszewski, who made that last tackle, and Greg Lloyd. Now, when they go to their dime package in a passing situation, here's what happens. Into the dime they go. Aaron Jones comes up front. Williams, Griffin, and Hall to join this secondary of Woodruff Woodson, the rookie Carnell Lake, and Thomas Everett. 2nd and 7 from the 30. 2 wide receiver set. It's Rozier again. Second time he carries the ball out over the 30 to the 32-yard line. Game tackle. The strong safety, the rookie out of UCLA. Loose ball fumble. Officials say Pittsburgh has it. Rozier coughs it up. Looks like David Little comes up with the ball as Mike Rozier coughs it up, and the snow is flying here in Three Rivers.
That's the way Pittsburgh played last week against Miami. Very opportunistic defense coming up with the 5 turnovers, and this football team feeds on turnovers.
David Little with the fumble recovery, and look at the field position now. Bubby Brister and the Steelers drop down into their first set at the Houston 32-yard line. Malarkey, the tight end, in motion. They give it off, and here comes Worley off a 95-yard rushing game last week in the rain in Miami, and he goes inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. Ben Bryant, your referee for today. Let's go back now to the Rozier run and see what happened on that fumble play as Grimsley is down injured.
Man in support is Carnell Lake, the strong safety. Rozier comes around the corner. He still has the ball. There you see it loose. Combination hit by Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, 98. Ball is loose. Interesting that Pittsburgh began this season -8 on the takeaway giveaway, and right now at 6-6 they are +7.
We'll be back as the snow is flying here in a winter setting. No score early from Pittsburgh. fumble recovery. The Steelers this season, 33 takeaways, tied for the lead in the AFC with Denver. Also, of course, a great defensive team this year.
That's the 17th fumble recovery the Steelers have come up with. That's the 10th time the Houston Oilers have fumbled it away.
John Grimsley was the injured Oiler as he walked off under his own power. Eugene Seal comes in, a much smaller linebacker, in his place. 2nd and 7. Worley again. For the 25. Pushed back at the 26-yard line. Fairs is in on the tackle for the Oilers, the linebacker 51. Here's the Steelers offensive line getting better and better each week. Jackson, Reenstra, Dawson, Long, and Tunchilkin in the backfield. It's Brister with Hoge and Worley. We've seen a lot of the rookie out of Georgia so far. Lips was held without a catch last week. Hill and Malarkey, there's the tight end. Now when they go into their shotgun, Carter comes in, and Mark Stock, a rookie out of VMI, Virginia Military Institute, comes in as wide receiver. It is now 3rd down and 3. Ball is on the 25-yard line. Rodney Carter checks in for the Steelers and goes in motion. Brister from the shotgun, first time today. And Carter is open over the middle inside the 20, down at the 17-yard line, and a first down. And Brister loves that play. That was wide open as Rodney Carter makes the catch. Let's check the Oiler defense. The Oilers, with their front 7, Childress, Smith, Fuller gets the start today. Fairs, Grimsley, Smith, and Johnny Means. Robert Lyles is missing, and that's an important miss for the Oilers defensively. Into the dime they go. Jones, Johnson, Dishman come in, and the Oilers secondary. Brown, Allen, McDowell, the rookie, and Donaldson. 1st and 10, Pittsburgh. And they hand it off the left side. It goes to Merril Hoge, and Hoge bangs inside the 15 down to the 14-yard line, where Ray Childress out of Texas A&M makes the stop.
Jim, very important that Pittsburgh just converted that 3rd down, come into the ball game with the worst 3rd down conversion percentage in the league. That's Tom Moore. He is the offensive coordinator, and Rick Strom is the man who signals the plays into Bubby Brister. If Pittsburgh can convert 3rd downs, it extends this offense, gives them a little more ball possession, and they can be in the game.
Derek Hill and Lewis Lips on the same side of the field, right at the bottom of your screen. Worley and Hoge behind Brister. Lips set in motion on 2nd down. Here comes Worley. He fumbles and recovers his own fumble inside the 5. No, he doesn't have his own fumble, as he had it for a second, then it popped loose. But one of the offensive linemen, I believe, that was leading him on the way, it's John Reenstra. He recovers the fumble.
Last week, Pittsburgh featured Worley running to the right. Again, they're featuring the same thing. You see the guard pull out, or the tackle pull out in front, Tunchilkin. Donaldson, 31, makes the hit. And as that ball bounces free, Reenstra comes up with the recovery. 1st and goal, Pittsburgh. Initial drive of the game.
Wolfley comes in now and is eligible to receive. Look at Worley. He had a terrible opening game of the season against Cleveland. That's where a lot of those fumbles happen. 1st and goal. It's Worley again. Big hit as he gets down near the goal line. Jeff Donaldson is on top for the Oilers. He's close inside the 2-yard line.
Did you hear that hit?
You really could hear that.
Oh, absolutely. When it gets cold, this plastic that they wear underneath those jerseys gets very, very brittle. Helmets, too. And all of a sudden, it almost sounds like bells ringing when people clash down there.
2nd down and goal from at the 1-yard line as we flip through the early returns on this 13th Sunday. Here are the Steelers, 2nd and goal. Hoge gets it, and he goes inside the 1-yard line, but does not score. Merril Hoge, who had 3 touchdowns last week against Miami. He's the go-to guy down near the end zone. Donaldson, once again, is in on the tackle along with Kenny Johnson.
Pittsburgh has had problem running the ball in short yardage situations. This time they choose to go left behind Wolfley, 73, Jackson, 65, O'Shea, the tight end. Houston Oilers captures the line of scrimmage, so I think if I'm Chuck Noll, I don't care if I make it a 3rd and goal. I go for it on 4th and goal, too. 8th play of this drive.
And remember, the drive started deep in Houston territory after the Rozier fumble at the 32. 3rd down and goal. It's Worley with a dive, and Houston shuts him down on a great defensive stand. Boy, they were all there. In fact, they might have thrown him back. They say they recover a loose ball. But the officials say no right now.
Ben Dreith is the referee. They're sending Anderson in for the field goal attempt. I'm rather surprised.
And not a popular decision right now.
Yeah, I think in a game like this, between 2 AFC Central Division opponents, you have to establish a certain psychology of the game. There's Chuck Noll right there. I realize he wants points, but I think you can take psychological control of the game. Ball does not break the plane of the end zone. I'd go for it here.
Anderson on the season, 15 of 23 for the early lead. It's up and good. Gary Anderson with an 18-yard field goal. The Oilers fumble. The Steelers cash in with a field goal and lead 3-0 in this AFC Central Stadium in Pittsburgh. We're playing in minus 25-degree wind chill today. Chuck Noll decides to go for a field goal by Gary Anderson on 3rd down and goal, on 4th down and goal, actually, from the 1-yard line. It was good, and Pittsburgh kicks it away. Kenny Johnson from his own 10. And again, he finds a crease and goes out over the 30-yard line to the 33. He's brought down by David Johnson of the Steelers.
Now, I've kind of derided Chuck Noll for going for the field goal, but you can see the Oilers' numbers against the run. Chuck Noll has been accused by a lot of people here in Pittsburgh of never changing, of going with the percentages, of always going with the percentages. I shouldn't be surprised that he doesn't take the chance on 4th and goal at the 1-yard line.
The ball is out at the 33-yard line of Houston. Rozier fumbled on the first possession, and Alan Pickett's in the backfield right now, along with Lorenzo Highsmith. Here comes Pickett. Bad footing, and he goes down. Pickett was covered up by Osalski and Gerald Williams as Pickett started left, tried to make the cutback, and went right down.
You know, Glanville putting Pickett in is very characteristic of Jerry Glanville. When a player fumbles or drops a pass or misses a coverage early for Jerry Glanville in Houston, he gets him out of there. Rozier goes out, Pickett comes in. The footing here should not affect the Houston Oilers offense that much. They're more of an at the line of scrimmage running game. They don't trap a lot like Pittsburgh does.
Bob, down at the bottom of the screen, Ernest Gibbons, 81, is in the lineup now at wide receiver. He missed last week. He got hurt in the Raider game. Fake by Moon, rolling out. He'll keep it and should get a first down as he steps out of bounds out near the 44-yard line. A good decision by Warren Moon, who actually I think is the number 3 rusher in this Houston offense.
And he told us last night he was running on his own this year. Kind of put it to his own game plan. It looked like Alonzo Highsmith was the intended receiver. You see him sitting at fullback right behind Moon. Watch, he fakes, then he'll go right across the line of scrimmage. Now the linebacker Greg Lloyd does a great job here. He doesn't let Moon throw the ball, but then the fake freezes the linebacker. Moon picks up the first down. Out
at the 44-yard line, he entered the game with 222 yards rushing. Not bad, huh? 1st and 10, Houston's first. Here comes Pickett. Trapped. Goodbye. Gerald Williams had him and never let him go.
Yeah, Pickett's not going to work good on this field. The running back they need is either Lorenzo White or Mike Rozier. I don't care if he fumbles it or not. Pinkett is kind of a bula back. You know, he jumps around here and there, and when you have slick footing on this AstroTurf, you need somebody who's going to fire up in there. See, his choice to go outside was the wrong one. Nose tackle Gerald Williams makes the tackle for a loss.
Carnell Lake came up to try and help out. It's 2nd down, 14 as he loses 4 on that play back at the Houston 40-yard line. Now the red gun set, 4 wide receivers in. Drew Hill playing with a sore back. He checks in. Moon pump fake, throws across the middle, out near midfield, down to the 46-yard line. Is it a catch? It looked like it might have been scooped up by Gibbons.
There's no signal. They're saying incomplete pass. They're bringing it back.
Good trap hop by Gibbons.
I saw no official signal anything. We'll watch again. He comes from the left. Ball looks like it might have been tipped by Carnell Lake. I can't tell from that catch, from that angle, but that looked like a catch to me. That might be worth a review. Never can't tell. Umpire looks like he's talking. Yeah, they are going to look at it again.
Replay official is Cal Lepore. Our first use of replay today. Gibbons, who missed last week, gets into the action right away here in Pittsburgh. Here it is again now. Does he have it?
Looked like Carnell Lake got his hand on it. I can't tell from that either. And of course, with the review, you need irrefutable evidence to overturn the call on the field. Of the 3 angles we've seen, I don't think Cal Lepore can make a decision to overturn the call.
Review. The play stands. Incomplete pass.
Not enough evidence to rule the other way.
So it's 3rd and 14. A very big call now because Houston's in trouble here is Jerry Glanville. Not a big weekend last weekend in Kansas City with the officials. He had a long day with the officials. And right now he's got a long day right here. 3rd down and 14 as the crowd picks it up here in Pittsburgh.
You know, he told us last night he was not upset with his team being penalized 16 times, but he said, how can we be penalized 16 times, Kansas City just twice?
3rd and 14. Red gun set again. 4 wide receivers, 1 back. Highsmith is the back. Moon with a lot of time. Going for Drew Hill. Incomplete. Excellent coverage. Carnell Lake is over there along with Thomas Everett. Both safeties end up with Hill.
Double coverage. Well covered by Pittsburgh. Now, Houston has to punt into a very stiff wind.
When they punted last week, it was a disaster twice. Montgomery had 1 deflected and 1 blocked. The one that was blocked ended up as a touchdown for Kansas City. Look at those goalposts swaying back and forth. That's the wind situation. Here's Montgomery. Woodson is deep for the Steelers.
That's a good punt.
Hits at the 18. Can he make anything happen? He's trapped and goes down right away. Good coverage. Fairs is down on the coverage along with Eugene Seal, but the first man down there was Bubba McDowell. 48-yard punt. 1-yard return, 3-0 Steelers. With the Steelers leading 3-0 on an 18-yard Gary Anderson field goal. Faked by Brister. Sacked. Johnny Meads inside the 5-yard line at the 4. As Brister did play action fake and Meads didn't bite at all.
They hadn't run the ball enough. I mean, the play action doesn't work unless there's a threat to run the football. Now with the wind, see Meads right there in front of you. He jumps outside of Malarkey 84. That's going to be full pass protection. There are only 2 guys in the entire pass route. That was the 2 outside guys. Meads, first sack of the day for either team.
Big day for Johnny Meads. He's making the defensive calls too. With the injury to Robert Lyles, the ball is at the 6-yard line. 2nd and 22. That's Lips in motion. They give the ball off to Worley. Worley gets out near the 10-yard line.
Houston, when they go to the long yardage set defensively, they move their all-pro defensive end, Ray Childress, into the nose. You can see him right over to Monty Johnson, the center. Now, this is the run. They got a double team him. Long, kind of a double and rub. Good pursuit by Houston. That's only about a 2-yard gain.
Childress, 8.5 sacks on the season. Let's see if he can get in right now. Brister out of the shotgun, 3rd and 16. But deep in his own territory at the 12. Handles a low snap. Rolling. Firing.
Look at this.
Looking long. Incomplete. Intended for Mark Stock down at the 25-yard line.
He threw that ball from his own 5 to the Houston 25. That is a heave.
Well, he did have a little wind, but it's still a heave, right?
That rock today is hard, but he still gets it done. Good coverage here by Houston. When he rolls out, he sees the guy way deep. This is a heave.
Mark Stock, there he is.
Boy, that's, without great coverage, that's a catch.
And Bob Early, when he first let it go, Stock was open. He was ahead of the pack. Harry Newsome's first punt of the day. Kenny Johnson ready to tape it back from the end zone. Gets it away. Johnson with a flag down is whipped down by Dwight Stone at the 42-yard line.
That's going to come back, though. That's holding against Pittsburgh. They're going to have to punt it again.
Holding, you're right, against Pittsburgh, as Ben Bryce gives you the indication. And on a day like this and deep in their own territory and pushing him back deeper in the end zone right now, they'll force him to kick it again.
Sure, you also make the punt team run twice that 45-yard sprint.
Let's go back just a second now. Houston fumbles. Pittsburgh ends up with a field goal after getting field position deep in Houston's territory. But Houston's defense really shut Pittsburgh down that time and didn't give up the touchdown. It seems like that defense is fed off that now.
Well,
Kicking team number 99 was holding. They declined the penalty. Houston's ball, first down.
That was A.J. Jenkins on the hold. They're going to take the ball at the spot at about the 44-yard line.
Pittsburgh surprised they had the punting team out there again. We'll be right back. Nothing Pittsburgh. And what about that, Bob? Houston has really shut them down as Pittsburgh got the big early break.
Jim, I think your point is well taken. Anytime the other team gets a turnover, you can hold them to 3 points. That's a psychological advantage for you. That's why I was surprised Pittsburgh did not go for it on 4th and inches at the Houston goal line.
Moon giving to Pinkett. Tries to get to the outside again, and there's too much traffic there, and actually he tripped over Highsmith, who was pushed back by one of the oncoming defensive people. Keith Willis is over there on the tackle, though, but Highsmith went down, and Pinkett got locked in his legs.
This is a lead blocking team. You'll see Highsmith 32 on the right. They're firing Keith Willis on Steinkühler, 93 on 70, makes Pinkett go outside. And then Thomas Everett, 27 there, along with Hinkle to assist on the tackle. I repeat, I do not believe this is Alan Pinkett's type of game. They need Rozier at running back.
A loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Out of the 2-back set, they normally run 70% of the time. But not this time. Boom. Looping it. Jeffries comes back. Tries to get the hands underneath. The official says, yes, he's got it at the 36.
No, one says he doesn't. The other one says he does.
And the other official that said no is going to get the call.
Well, again, always reviewable. Rod Woodson is the man in coverage. That ball was underthrown. See if we can pick it up again. Jeffries stops, comes back for the ball. Ooh, I think that's a catch. I think that's a catch.
I agree with you. I think he came back and got it. Let's see again.
This is an excellent job of coming back for the football by Jeffries. Woodson didn't even see the ball coming. Well, the umpire is going to look at it. The replay is going to look at it once again. From that angle, it appears that he cradles the ball.
And the ball almost hit off his forearm up into his numbers.
Yes. So here, it looks like he makes the catch. On this one, see if we can see that ball come down through the forearm. I don't see any shadow of the ball or any contact with the turf. I think that's a close call. That's a very difficult one to make.
After review by the replay official, the play stands. Incomplete pass.
And for the second time today, Houston's had that kind of call go against them on trapped catches.
Now, it may be that because they're going into the wind, that ball is going to dive a great deal in this first quarter. But so far, Coach Glanville and his group, they have not gotten a call in their favor.
And Moon is 0 for 3 and looking at 3rd and 11 with Highsmith in the backfield with him. And Gibbons in motion. 4 wide receiver set. From the backside, but Moon got rid of it, and Drew Hill makes a great catch down at the 45-yard line, and a lot of traffic coming from the outside. Aaron Jones drilled Moon from the blind side.
Houston likes the crossing patterns. Now, of course, Hill is playing with that broken transverse process on his back, the little spiny things that stick out of your vertebrae. He has not practiced a great deal in the last 2.5 or 3 weeks. This is good pass protection. Right at the end of this play, you'll see from the left, Warren Moon almost gets hammered, but he stands in there. Big completion for Houston, his first completion of the day.
Look at Hill pull that ball away from Rod Woodson. 1st and 10 at the Pittsburgh 45. Lorenzo White's first carry as he gets down to the Pittsburgh 41-yard line, brought down by Aaron Jones and Thomas Everett. So there's Lorenzo White out of Michigan State. Here's the ticker now. Cleveland and Cincinnati still scoreless up there. Remember, they have that kind of weather that we have here. Kansas City by 6 over Miami. And the Patriots are on the board with a field goal at Sullivan Stadium in Foxborough. 14-0 the Eagles over the Giants. Green Bay by a touchdown. Detroit by a touchdown. The Rams by 2 touchdowns. And the 49ers maintaining their lead. 2nd down, 6. 4 on the last play for White. And he'll get it again. And he goes to the outside. Hit, stays up, and hit again. Everybody had a pop at him, and David Little finally brings him down.
Woodson helps on the outside. This Pittsburgh defense is very good at playing the whole man on the offensive line. What that makes the offense do is look for the alternate route. Now you watch Lorenzo White get up in there, and he sees nothing there. Now he starts bouncing outside. Then the pursuit. Greg Lloyd is out there, slows him down, then Woodson, then Everett, then Little finally on the tackle. So another big third down here for Houston against the wind.
Ball blows away, and it blew a long way away, so they have to reset it down at the Pittsburgh 40. 3rd and 5 with 1:59 left in the quarter. 4 wide receivers in the game now for Houston as Drew Hill is in motion. Near side rollout, Moon in trouble again. Throwing, Jeffries can't get it. Great coverage by Woodson, who came back and knocked the ball away. And our first little altercation as Woodson and Jeffries exchanging words, and Curtis Duncan gets in there to play peacemaker.
Moon is on the rollout here. He's looking at the primary receivers on the right side. No one there. And then because he's running left, he can't really put any steam on it. Woodson again right there in Haywood Jeffries' face, and Woodson does a great job to knock that ball away. Oh, they must punt.
Montgomery's second punt of the afternoon, back at the 46-yard line, his own. And Rod Woodson stands at the 10. Line drives it, but it bounces at the 20. Inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line. It looked terrible, but it gets the job done, doesn't it?
I think Houston will take that.
Dishman goes down and touches on it. 27-yard punt for Montgomery. Doubleheader day here on NBC. Hope you're staying warm and watching this one. Coming up is our second one. Stay tuned for the second half of the doubleheader on most of these NBC stations. The Los Angeles Raiders drive for a wild card berth. They face a challenge today when they host the Western Division champion Denver Broncos immediately following today's game. 1st and 10. Ball is at the 13-yard line. 3-0 Pittsburgh. Got an 18-yard Gary Anderson field goal. But for the second time, they have terrible field position as Worley tries to cut, and Fuller's there along with Doug Smith and everybody else in a white jersey as they knock him down.
Actually, throughout this first quarter, even with the turnover by Houston, Houston has had the better of the field position.
Absolutely.
They've done a great job of keeping Pittsburgh backed up now with 1:12 and counting left in the first quarter. If they can stretch this out enough, they can make Newsome punt against the wind, which should give them good field position again.
No gain for Worley on that last carry. 2nd and 10. Lips and Derek Hill, the wide receivers. Brister across the middle, and it is caught by Mike Malarkey, the tight end, out to the 25-yard line. And that's a first down for Pittsburgh.
For years, Pittsburgh has been accused of being so conservative. They don't throw to the tight end. They don't run the shotgun. Tom Moore told me yesterday, he said, they don't have anything to complain about now. We run the shotgun. We throw the ball to the tight end. So nobody has anything to say about it. There's Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator. Malarkey last week against Miami, a huge catch in the rain.
Only 24 seconds, and it's running down left here in the first quarter. Brister giving to Merril Hoge. And Hoge right up the gut goes short of the 30-yard line to the 28 as they are running down here in the first quarter with just 9 seconds left. And that will do it for period number 1. Mike Rozier's fumble turns into a Gary Anderson field goal of 18 yards. And Bubby Brister's Steelers lead 3-0 after 1 from Pittsburgh.
Play here. Dermontti Dawson, the center. John Reenstra, the left guard. Nice double and rub on Doug Smith and Grimsley. Worley only picks up 3 yards. You'd expect a little more yardage out of that play. That Houston defense swarming to the football. Dawson, the guy, of course, who replaced Mike Webster, one of this franchise's all-time greatest players.
First quarter numbers. First downs. Steelers with 3. Rushing, the Steelers better than the Oilers right there. Passing is going to be a tough day to throw in this cold weather. So it's a field position game right now, and a turnover really has decided so far the only points on the board.
We also only have just 1 penalty, which was declined.
It's 25 degrees, wind chill factor below 0 here at Three River Stadium. That's why you see some empty seats. People had tickets. We are sold out here today. But look at the wind and the wind chill as we have played 1 quarter. We've had snow flurries, some squalls coming in throughout the afternoon so far early. Pittsburgh leads 3-0 on a Gary Anderson field goal. It's 2nd and 7 at the Pittsburgh 28-yard line. That's Lips in motion. The fake to Hoge. Brister's got Malarkey open. Can't pull it down. A one-handed grab. It would have been a beauty out at the 48-yard line, and he had running room after that, too.
Jim, did you see what the wind did to the ball? took it completely out of the spiral. There was a gust of wind. Now watch what happens when he rolls. Good play action fake. See the linebackers go with Worley. Now Malarkey is right at the top right corner of the screen. Well, watch the ball. The wind just gets it totally out of spiral. Not a poorly thrown ball, but just the trajectory is changed by the wind gust.
And of course, in the first quarter, we saw Moon's passes doing the same kind of things, but dipping, and that's why we had 2 traps by the Houston wide receivers. 1 for 3 on third down conversions for the Steelers. They're looking at 3rd and 7 right now with Rodney Carter in motion. Brister steps up, looping it for Derek Hill. He's got it. And a first down to the 46-yard line, the rookie from Arizona.
This young man is a heck of a story. Last 2 seasons at Arizona went to the wishbone. He didn't catch the ball a great deal. Wasn't sure that anyone in the NFL was going to really pay attention to him. But he started about the last 4 weeks. Brister does a good job of avoiding the rush. And again, the ball out of round, out of spiral because of the wind. Hill, good concentration, picks up the first down.
Steve Brown over to make the coverage. 16-yard pass play. Derek Hill had 3 catches last week. That's his first of the afternoon today. Lewis Lips this time in motion. They give it to Worley. Worley to the midfield stripe inside Houston territory. A nice running play by the Steelers on first down. Will pick them up some good yardage down to the 47 of Houston.
Well, I'm sure Jerry Glanville was hoping that against the wind, Houston would be able to shut down Pittsburgh and get good field position. Pittsburgh's having none of that.
Still no score in Cleveland. Kansas City 13-0 over Miami. Are the Chiefs coming on? New England 6-0 over Indianapolis. The Giants get on the board. Detroit leading over New Orleans. And in our other games, the Rams by 14 over Dallas, and San Francisco 6-0 over Atlanta. Fumble on the exchange as Brister loses the ball, but it's recovered by the Steelers. As Johnny on the spot was Merril Hoge, I believe it is. Hoge covering up. Standing right over him was Eric Ferris trying to pop down and get it.
We got an injured player, too, for the Houston Oilers.
And they cannot afford many more injuries. It's down on the field is Smith.
You can see the snow falling, and Bubby the ball just slips away. Now, when it's this cold, Jim, that ball is like it's made out of plastic. It is slick. It is hard. You can't compress the ball at all. So the quarterback and the center are going to have to be careful.
Three Rivers today, the House of Steel. And steel-hearted fans today to be here in this snowstorm right now on third down at short yardage, 3rd and 3. Brister, it's a direct snap to Merril Hoge. He'll get the first down. That's a play out of the Oilers playbook.
Bubby Brister does a great job of faking this, but watch Dermontti Dawson and Terry Long. They do a great job of just giving the nice little crack there for Merril Hoge. Big pickup.
15
nice third down conversion.
15-yard pickup on a direct snap play. Great fake by Brister. They go back to Hoge on more of the conventional type of handoff, and he goes inside the 35 down to the 32-yard line. And he is brought down there as the snow is coming down, and the field is now getting covered by the snow.
Once again, that big play. Watch Brister. Jumps up in the air like the snap is too high. Nice little fold block by Dawson and Terry Long. And Hoge, a good, tough downhill runner. Goal line to goal line. 15 yards and a third down conversion.
In a winter-type setting, Brister settles the crowd down. 2nd and 7 at the 31 of Houston. 3-0 Pittsburgh. Second quarter. Reverse to Lips. And it's well blocked. To the 20-yard line. And Brister got to block himself, too.
They hand off to Hoge, who gives it to Lewis Lips. He cuts inside. You did see the block there by Bubby Brister, an 11-yard pickup. Doug Smith, the nose tackle, is the guy who eventually makes the stop.
I like playing playing in the snow, said Bubby Brister to us yesterday. A lot better than the Oilers.
Well, he's got his wish.
First and 10 at the 20 of Houston. I'll tell you what, the Steelers have the Oilers on their heels right now with these trick plays. Here's Worley. That's a power play, though, inside the 20 down to the 16-yard line, and Bubba McDowell is over there to make the stop.
You got to wonder how Tim Worley throughout this game will function, coming out of Georgia and North Carolina. Not really used to carrying the ball on AstroTurf, and also with snow all over that AstroTurf.
He's used to running between the hedges down there in Georgia. Right now he's running between the snowmen here in Pittsburgh. At the 16-yard line, a 4-yard pickup, 2nd and 6, 10:48 left in the first half. Brister trying to settle the crowd down, but they have been electrified by some of the great plays by the Steelers. Another reverse. Yes, it's Lips again. Cut back 10 to the 4-yard line. First and goal, Steelers.
They are yelling, Lou, Lou, Lou. Very seldom do you see two reverses in the same drive and have both of them work. This one's even better. Worley, a good block on Needs. That's Jeff Donaldson out there. He assists, slows him down a little bit, and then Needs comes back to make the tackle. A 12-yard pickup. Two reverses in the same series of plays, and both work.
And they're good for 23 yards on both of those carries by Lips as he was shaken up on the tackle, and he's coming off the field right now. He's replaced by Ouija Thompson, who will come in. It's first and goal at the 4 now for Pittsburgh. Jerry Glanville on the Houston bench, hoping that his defense can dig in like they did the first time. Now they dug in and shut Pittsburgh down in the first quarter. The Houston bench, they're all huddled up on one of those warm-me-up benches. Merril Hoge, bang, scrap, scores!
Jim, that was a very impressive drive. Started at their own 15-yard line. 85 yards later, Hoge takes it in. Last week he had 3 rushing touchdowns, and he gets this one in.
Out of the hold of Harry Newsome. Extra points become a little more than academic in this weather, but this one is good. 10 minutes to go in the first half. Merril Hoge's touchdown has given Pittsburgh a 10-0 lead.
We're going to watch this touchdown again when we feature Terry Long. You hear that Pittsburgh is a great trapping team. Watch that right guard pull up there. Boom. He hits 54 Smith, drives him out of the way, and Merril Hoge dives in for the touchdown. 10-0 Pittsburgh.
Brister and Hoge with the hug. Gary Anderson with a kickoff at a 10-0 Steeler lead. A line drive on the ground kick. Going to be picked up by Tracy Johnson. Johnson's got some room to run.
Fumble.
And fumbles, and Pittsburgh had it, lost it, but did they have possession? I don't think so. I think they're going to give it to Tracy Johnson. Larry Griffin had the ball, but never really had possession, and that's the key right there.
When that ball rolls out of bounds, it's the last team that clearly possessed the football. You can see he's trying to move it from one side to the other.
Watch Anderson. He had it originally, then Griffin, but he never could control it.
Gerald Williams makes the contact. We have the officials who are talking on the sideline. You see that coach is going all over, getting all over the Houston Oilers players. Ben Drayton and his group are standing there on the sideline, which is very difficult to distinguish with this snow. Now he finally says Houston ball.
You saw them on the sideline telling Tracy Johnson, cover up that football. You can't carry it out like that.
91, Williams makes the contact, and then the ball is free and loose. Almost recovered by Griffin. You can see the players on the sideline, but where is the sideline itself? It's very difficult to pick out.
The coach was Richard Smith, who was going right after Tracy Johnson, who's only a rookie fullback for the Oilers. But good field position for the Oilers starting right now at their own 43-yard line. Are we still reviewing this play?
No one's doing anything. But the disadvantage that the replay official is going to have, Jim, is that it's very hard to see the sideline.
In fact, there's Cal Laporte in the replay booth right now.
He's the guy standing up with the glasses.
The play stands. Houston's ball.
Certainly a missed opportunity by Pittsburgh.
Griffin really doesn't have it there. And Merril Hoge is on the side. I believe Merril Hoge is on the sideline there.
Yes, he's not on the field.
Right. 43-yard line, 1st and 10. Oilers dodge a bullet. Now have to get back into the game. Down by 10. Lorenzo White with a hold. Midfield, Pittsburgh 48-yard line, up close to a 1st down. Woodson and Everett come up from the secondary to make the tackle.
Seems almost a shame to dirty up this field with all those little footprints, you know.
It looks like deer have been running through, right?
Yes, someone's backyard. But I notice now that Houston has Lorenzo White. They've taken Alan Pinkett out. White, Highsmith, and Rozier are good backs in this kind of footing. Alan Pinkett, I don't think, can do much for the Houston Oilers today from the running back spot, that is.
There's Jay Pennison ready to snap the ball up to Warren Moon with Ernest Gibbons in motion. 2nd and 1. White has the 1st down and barrels ahead inside the Pittsburgh 45 to the 43-yard line. Here comes Lorenzo White again. White inside the 40-yard line with a flag down. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, is in on the stop, but as we said, we have a flag down.
That's going to be against the defense, too. Last week, of course, Houston had this happen to them. Steve DeBerg had him jumping all over the place, and today Warren Moon.
Offside, number 93. They took the penalty. 5 yards and 1st down.
Keith Willis was the man in the neutral zone.
It could have either been. It could have been 93 or 98. They took 93.
Jim,
they were both there.
Houston is almost in a situation where this is a game-saving drive. Even 2nd quarter, if they don't get this ball down the field, get points of some sort, Houston's in deep trouble.
8:09 left in the half. 10-0 Steelers. It's 1st and 5 at the 38. White failed. David Little is in there with Gerald Williams, and Lorenzo White didn't have a prayer on that play.
This Houston Oilers offensive line is a very big offensive line. The defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers, not very, very big, but they do a great job of taking the middle of the man, plugging up the holes. And there you see Gerald Williams, along with Aaron Jones, David Little assisting on the tackle. Good job of just standing up that offensive line and allowing no place for the running back to run.
A loss of 1 on that last play. 2nd and 6 now from the 39-yard line. 4 wide receivers in for the Oilers with Gibbons in motion. Highsmith deep in the backfield. He'll get the call. And he just gets a couple of yards. Let's go to New York. NFL Live update. And we join Bob Costas. Thanks, Bob. 10-0 here. Steelers leading over Houston. 6:40 to go in the half. 3rd down and 3. Moon's changing the play, shoveling it down to the wide receivers. Looking, dumping, and the catch is made. And a loose ball on the ground as Hill makes the catch down at the 26-yard line, and that's a 1st down for Houston. So Drew Hill, his 2nd catch of the day, you can kind of see him holding that back.
Yeah, he can run, but he can't take a hit because of that broken bone in his back. Hill goes in motion. He's the 2nd receiver in. He's very deliberate in this pattern. Just waits for everybody to clear out. Moon rolls left. Hinkle loses track of him. And then Jerry Olszewski there. But Hill makes the catch for a big 1st down.
Not ruled a fumble on that play. 1st and 10 at the 27-yard line. Looks like the Steelers jumped again, although there's no flag, so they must have gotten back as Lorenzo White creases the right side and gets inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. So Lorenzo White, 22 yards on 6 rushes. A couple of weeks ago, Jerry Glanville told us he was playing very well against the Raiders, running the way they really wanted him to, but his confidence kind of took a bit of a dip when he fumbled in that game. 2nd down, 6. Believe us, the ball is at the 23. I know it's hard to make out where it is because of the snow. White again. To the 20, to the 19. You count them. What, 6 Steelers right there? Of course, they're coming up in gang tackling, and somebody might be able to pop that ball loose. They did that to Rozier earlier. We haven't seen him since.
Tim Johnson assisted on the tackle along with David Little. There's Rod Russ, the defensive coordinator. He's calling the defense there. It looks like Pittsburgh is going with their nickel package. 3 linebackers come out. Well, that's the wave of the game today. Hand signals from the sideline. They look like third base coaches in baseball.
Hold up, hold up. From the 19-yard line. 3rd and 2. 4 wide receivers, but Moon is right under center, not out of the shotgun. Moon, a lot of time. Gibbons wide open. And he slides safely down close to the 5-yard line and a 1st down.
You know, this may sound stupid, but if you take a long look at that field, you can almost lose these guys with their white jerseys and white helmets standing out there. Look at that. There was no one close to Ernest Gibbons. Rod Woodson finally makes the catch, but from a long distance away, I think you can lose track of who is where. Now Gibbons is standing over here to the right, over to Moon's left. Look, there's no one around him.
12-yard pickup, 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. Houston down by 10, trying to get back into it in this big AFC Central Division battle. Again, they're changing the play. Highsmith tells White out of the eye. They didn't get it off, and a timeout called for by Moon.
Very smart by Warren Moon. He did not want to cost his team another 5 yards.
Moon to the sideline. Pittsburgh protecting a 10-0 lead. We'll be right back. Really, but what we have here is the old-fashioned Steeler jersey, right?
Yeah, this is a lot heavier than what players wear today. This used to be the sole thing to keep body heat in. Now guys wear Lycra long johns underneath and also cover the top. You used to put all that would keep you warm on the outside, and now you put it on the inside. You can see Houston feeling the effects of the cold. They're all in that heat 'em up bench. Pittsburgh, everybody standing on the sideline.
1st and goal from the 7. Lorenzo White trying to get in. He scores a touchdown for the Oilers. Lorenzo White, but a flag is down. Hold the phone on this one.
It's against Houston. Illegal procedure against Houston. Last week, 16 penalties.
Houston on the offense. Number 78 was not set. 5 yards, 1st down.
That's Don Maggs, who started last week. He was playing right tackle, but he wasn't set, they say, and he cost his team a touchdown.
This is the most penalized team in the NFL. They're averaging 9.8 penalties per game. Look at that. They will end up having a very dubious distinction.
A projected 157 for the season. They would shatter the record by the 83 Bills.
Is that amazing?
That is amazing. That's a lot of yardage to give up and overcome. So now, how about this? 1st and goal from the 12. This makes it a different call. Highsmith offset. White deep in the backfield. Moon rolling and running. And look out, he'll get drilled by a couple of Steelers as David Little is there to put the 1st hit on him. But a pretty wise decision by Moon because that middle was open.
There was great coverage down the field. Of course, when you come back out to the 12-yard line, now your defense can run more than one coverage. This is a half roll by Warren Moon. Thanks to Lorenzo White, but there is no one even close to open down there.
We asked Moon yesterday, how do you like playing in the cold weather? And said the former Edmonton Eskimo.
I don't mind it at all. I've got CFL Grey Cup championships all over my house playing in weather that's inclement.
2nd down and goal from the 6. That's Ernest Gibbons in motion. They have 4 wide receivers in. Moon rushed, throws it away. As Greg Lloyd had him, he wants an in the grasp call.
He's not going to get it. It's just going to be an incomplete pass. Greg Lloyd is the man on the pressure. Ben Dreith rules. You can see the entire defense here and the offense. Let's see what they're running. That's a zone, but watch Lloyd. Delay blitz. Well, I'll tell you what. That's pretty close to being a sack. That's throwing the ball away to avoid the sack.
Bob, I believe now they are marking the ball back.
The sack. Throwing him back.
Yeah, now they are good. They're going to rule him down. They're going to say that. Jerry Glanville says, can you believe this?
Wait a minute. Now, Ben Dreith is the only guy that can call the sack. And here's Greg Lloyd. And Dreith starts incomplete pass. Hands going back and forth, incomplete pass, but they do count it as a sack.
So they'll mark it back at the 13-yard line.
Wait a minute. Dreith is not ready yet to do whatever he's going to do.
Sending the Oilers back into the huddle.
I don't know that he has the ball marked in the right spot.
Well, he couldn't if it's at the 13 because they are at the 12. Jerry Glanville obviously feels that his team has been a bit picked upon by the officials, especially when they're on the road. He said, you know, we get away with a lot more when we play in Houston.
And of course, playing last week in Kansas City, there was a lifetime of penalties called on his team away from home, and today it's not. The ball hasn't bounced their way. The calls haven't gone their way. And I think the umpire has asked the guy upstairs, Calafour, where did the sack take place? Now, I have no idea how Calafour is going to figure that out with the snow on the field, but this can't be the right spot.
The frustration of Glanville as Dwayne Woodruff checks out what Ben Dreith is going to call here, or at least where he's going to mark the ball, and Ben is pointing down, and it appears that that's where it's going to be. Just to pick up on the Glanville situation and talking about the dreadful 16 penalty game in Kansas City last week, he said, in fact, late in the game, we got called for 12 men on the field. The official came over and said, you can't have 12 men on the field. He said, well, we couldn't defend them with 11.
Let's see if we can pick up where this ball should be. You can barely see any lines there whatsoever. Greg Lloyd with the sack. Actually, that ball should be back about where the huddle is now, because you can see where the third down marker is on the other side of the field.
So as the
They're
Oilers
not even close.
As the Oilers break the huddle now, the officials send them back once again.
Ben Dreith put the officiating crew in this spot by not calling the sack immediately and not marking where the sack takes place. Now he's telling Calafour, find me a spot where the sack took place, and there's no way he's going to find it. We could be here until they take still pictures of it.
Until it thaws here. In the meantime, Warren Moon will come up and look it over. There's Calafour in the replay booth. Suddenly it's becoming a busy day. It didn't start out that way. 2:22 left here in the half. Now the mark back. They are marking the ball back out by the, I would say, the 18-19 yard line.
And that's a guess.
It is the 18.
But if you're going to call the sack, call it and mark it. Why'd you move the ball? Well, the line judge is telling him we're ruling it a sack. That's where replay said the sack took place. So they go from a touchdown to third down and goal at the 19.
And now they've got the 2-minute warning. They're at the 2-minute warning, and that's at least what the clock is showing. They're going to let this play go. And now they're going to slow it down. They've been at 2 minutes for about 4 seconds as Moon gets hit. None of the officials saw that they were at the 2-minute warning, which they were for about 2 or 3 seconds, and the clock stopped. So it's time to tighten it up a little bit down there and find it, because this is a big ball game.
2-minute warning.
2 minutes left to go in the half. 10-0 to score from Pittsburgh, and we'll be back. One heater over there, and their bench is absolutely empty. Nobody sitting on their bench at all. Now, on the other side, if it's all a state of mind, the state of mind there is that the cold weather is affecting them a bit. They're all on the bench, as they have brought one of those warm-up benches that they can all sit in those little cubicles.
They actually, Houston has a slight advantage in that the sun can warm them. But here's the big play now. 3rd and 8, 3rd and goal at the 18.
The 11th play of the drive. It's taken 8 minutes and 2 to go here in the half. Moon looking. Duncan open.
Oh.
Touchdown, Houston. Curtis Duncan right across the middle.
Boy, he had two choices because Gibbons was open too, but Duncan runs the slant in front of Woodruff, and that's an easy completion.
What a big play for that man and his offense. Warren Moon, as they have really had a lot of obstacles on this drive, including some moments where the officials couldn't know where the ball was going to be spotted, and they hit.
Duncan just runs the simple slant in, and of course with the lack of footing out there, Woodruff has got to be very, very cautious, lay back, and Moon puts it right on the money on a 3rd and goal at the 18. They score.
Montgomery holds for Zendejas, and it is 10-7. So with 1:54 left to go here in the first half, Houston scores on an 18-yard touchdown pass from Warren Moon to Curtis Duncan to make it 10-7 on 3rd and goal. From the 18, came into the day with a half-game lead over Houston. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are both at 6-6, really facing must-wins here today.
Yeah, Houston saying to all the people that want to hear, if we win our last 4 games, we'll win the division, because the final game of the season is against Cleveland down in Houston. So they feel very confident. They felt this was the big game that they had to get by. This is the tough one.
There's the scoring drive, Bob. 8 minutes and 6 seconds. 61 yards, but the big play is the last play, 3rd and goal from the 18.
And they score once. It's brought back. Houston is its own worst enemy in that drive, and then they come up with a big play.
And listen to the crowd right now.
Very
too.
quiet.
They kind of took the crowd right out of it. Zendejas ready to kick it away. And Rod Woodson is deep, standing at his 5-yard line. Woodson has busted one this year, an 84-yarder right here at Three River Stadium against San Diego. A short kick. One of the linebackers is going to come up and get that one. That is Gerald Williams. Gerald Williams carries out over the 25-yard line to the 28. He's brought down by Eric Fairs. He looked pretty good catching that ball. So with 1:48 left to go here in the first half, it is 10-7. Steelers over the Oilers. In the AFC Central Division, the Oilers, after today, have Tampa Bay at Cincinnati, and that's the big one right at the end of the year. They've got Cleveland in the House of Pain.
4 wins, they win the division, because they play Pittsburgh today, Cincinnati in 2 weeks, and Cleveland the last game of the season. And the team with the best opportunity by record of opponents is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
None of those teams remaining after today have a winning record. The ball is at the 26-yard line. Lewis Lips in motion. Worley. Big hits by the Oilers. You can hear them down there really going after it. They're fired up after that touchdown. We also see John Grimsley back in the game, the linebacker. There you see him, 59, as he comes over to help out Richard Byrd, who's also playing with a sore back. And everybody in on the tackle, Al Smith. Now, rounding out the AFC Central Division, Cleveland playing Cincinnati today. 2 tough road games. I think they've got the toughest road home. At Indianapolis, Minnesota at home, and of course at Houston. And Cincinnati, Seattle and Houston at home, and then at Minnesota. That's a tough way to end there.
Final game of the season. That's a Monday night game.
Bubby Brister talking with Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers, with that left, 1:28. And a bit of the wind has been taken out of the sails of the Steelers right now. But not too much of the wind has been taken out of Three River Stadium on this very, very cold day. Incidentally, they did a wonderful job having this field ready for today. You see snow out there right now. They covered the field last night and had it ready this morning, but then the snow that fell here in the first half is the only reason we have snow on the field. In fact, when Bob and I were down before the game, the field was beautiful.
And just taking the tarp off, everything was fine.
Here's Derek Hill in motion. A flag is flying. Brister throws, and Hill drops it. Patrick Allen was on the coverage, but there's a flag down with 1:24 left in the half.
Well, now Houston is in a good spot here. They have 1 timeout left. The flag is going to be against Pittsburgh. Reasonable field position here.
83 on the offense, lined up in the neutral zone. They decline the penalty. It's 3rd down.
Lewis Lips Kind of hard to see where the neutral zone is with that snow out there, but Pittsburgh does not want to turn the ball over here. I'd look for a very conservative call, and Houston with a quick timeout to see if maybe they can block a punt, somehow come up with a turnover for more points before the half ends.
Those are your scores and highlights coming up at halftime, plus a Mike Shanahan feature coming up as we go back to New York with NFL Live. A minute 24 left in the half on 3rd down and 9. Brister out of the backfield to Hoge, and Steve Brown comes right up to make the tackle, and Houston will use a timeout to force Harry Newsome to punt with 1:14 left in the half.
Nice tackle by Brown. Open field. Hoge just couldn't quite get around him. And now Jerry Glanville, wherever he coaches, he wants to coach the special teams. The Houston Oilers emphasize special teams. Of course, last week their special teams got blown up. 2 punts blocked, 1 for a touchdown. So you got to think that in this situation they're going to pressure Newsome as much as they possibly can.
Mike Shanahan returns to L.A. as the Broncos and Raiders meet. That all coming up at halftime. Harry Newsome keeping the hands warm right now. You see a lot of the players with that. Kenny Johnson is back deep at the 35-yard line. Houston has 1 timeout left. They got now the flag flies. A delay of game is going to be called against the Steelers. They'll pack them up 5.
Delay the game.
Steelers arguing that one of the clocks might have been off, or that they didn't see it, or that it didn't run out on them. But from the other side, the official made the call looking at the other end of the stadium. Chuck Noll doesn't like this call.
He just said no delay of game.
Okay.
Obviously, you're right. One of the clocks is not working.
All right, the clock had temporarily gone down on that end of the stadium, but now it's running down as they have reset it.
Houston does not appear to be in a punt block situation.
Newsome standing back at his 16-yard line. Low snap, but he picks it off the turf. Hangs a nice punt. Johnson calls for a fair catch. Kenny Johnson makes the fair catch at the Houston 32-yard line with Dwight Stone down there on the coverage. A 38-yard punt. You may say not so great, but remember the snap was a little bit low.
And into the wind.
Right. Now Houston's got to be thinking with 1 timeout, not bad field position at their own 32-yard line, that maybe they can get in and tie this game up, get in field goal range.
Well, in this situation, Jim, the thing that you've got to rely on, I think, as an offense are screens, because the defense is going to be dropping a great deal. Underneath patterns, and then hope that the receiver can break a tackle. Hill and Givens are very good at that. The Oilers still have 1 timeout left, so we're going to see the hurry-up offense here for the last minute and 4 seconds of the first half.
4 for 7, but number 4 on that completion chart was the big one. 3rd and goal from the 18, and he hit on a touchdown. Moon did. A wobbling snap and a big rush, and they get it out to Pinkett, and a great block by Munchak gets him down the sideline. He goes over the 40, out to the 44-yard line, and gets out of bounds.
That is the screen to Pinkett. Rod Woodson finally runs him out, and of course the best thing about it is it stops the clock. It's short of the first down, but it stops the clock. So Pinkett goes out, Highsmith goes in. That's a nice play. I'm also very surprised that Pittsburgh came with the blitz on that play. And A.J. Jenkins coming from the backside of Warren Moon. This play takes a while to develop. There's Gerald Williams, and there's Jenkins. Very, very close to getting a sack.
43-yard line, 1st and 10 with 56 seconds left here in the half. The Oilers have 1 more timeout. Good protection for Moon, and a man open across the middle, and once again it's Duncan. He's trying to get out of bounds. Look at him fight to get out of bounds. He did not get out of bounds, as he actually gave up about 6 yards trying to get over to that Pittsburgh sideline. They called their last time out. 42 seconds left here in the half. Look out, after falling 10 points down. Here come the Oilers. We'll be right back.
By Warren Moon. Now, it's hard to tell if this is the prevent, because prevent is not necessarily the personnel you put in. It's the mindset that they have. But Delton Hall gets a shot on Duncan, and then Griffin finally drags him down before he's able to get out of bounds, which is a plus for the defense. And you're hoping that clock eats up the offense before they can get in scoring position.
Kind of a mercenary run across the field there by Duncan. He took hits all the way across the field.
But his choice is correct. You'll lose a few yards to save that last time out.
42 seconds left, and the crowd trying to get back into it now. 6 for 10 Moon. for the Oilers. A quick step back and throw to Haywood Jeffries, and he gets out of bounds. As they continue to get closer to Zendejas' range. He's short of a first down.
Wait a minute. Did I see Jeffries and Hall actually tap hands there? I thought these two teams hated each other. Maybe it's just the coaches that don't like each other.
I think it might be that, yeah. So Jeffries makes the catch. And it's at the 35 of Pittsburgh. And it's a pickup of 5 yards, but just a little bit closer.
Good smart play by Houston. Get the easy completion, make sure he's out of bounds, stop the clock.
Moon starts out underneath center, and he'll stay there. Drew Hill starts in motion and heads back. Again now to the near sideline, and Hill makes the catch, spins, stays close to the sideline, buys about 3 or 4 extra yards, and doing a great job of working the clock. Houston has 30 seconds left, and they're even closer now and getting very close to Zendejas' range.
Rod Russ defense is generally combinations. They'll zone deep. They'll man-to-man underneath. But in this situation, there's Zendejas warming up on the sideline. Anybody whose name is Zendejas can't be comfortable kicking in the snow. I know that for sure.
Zendejas had hit 8 in a row until last week. He missed his only attempt from 39 yards. We could see him in a few moments. 1st and 10 as Hill got enough yardage for first down on that last play. Ball at the 27. The rush, he bumps into his own man and then throws it down below the ankles of Drew Hill. Incompleted pass, and we have 25 left here in the half.
2nd down, 10.
It will be 2nd and 10. Highsmith is checking in, and Tracy Johnson is coming out. 21 out of 30 on the season for Zendejas. So he was on a good run. He was 0 for 1 last week. But he has the wind at his back here at the end of this first half.
But he's been standing that entire first half, too, and that doesn't help either. Just standing over there on the sideline, and it's very difficult to get warm, and obviously in a game like this.
It was 10-0 Pittsburgh. It's now 10-7, and Houston is driving for the tie as Drew Hill goes in motion. Again, a lot of time for Moon.
Jeffries.
Out of the back end of the end zone. Jeffries was there for a moment, and then Moon just threw it right over his head and out of bounds, out of harm's way, with 17 seconds left in the half.
Jeffries seemed to stop his pattern there. He couldn't make up his mind what he was going to do, and Moon does not want to take the sack.
Now they're at the 27, which would make it a 44-yard field goal if they were to kick it right now. Remember, they're out of timeouts.
Jeffries again, it looks like he's running about 4 different patterns. They're in, up, out, maybe the corner. I'm not sure. Wait, Moon just throws it where it can't be intercepted.
On 3rd down conversions, Houston's 4 for 6. On 3rd and 10 from the Steeler 27.
Blitz. Picked up.
He's
Hill.
going for Hill.
Oh!
What a catch if he hung on. Touchdown, Houston.
Put that one in the highlight reel.
And all of that with a bad back. Drew Hill, a 27-yard touchdown catch. And the Oilers have answered back with 2 big jabs right here at the end of the half.
Pittsburgh goes with a blitz. You see the linebackers, and it's Carnell Lake, the strong safety on Hill. Hill, I believe, has the foot speed. That ball is by him, through his hands. He catches the back end of it for a touchdown. Unbelievable throw and an indescribable catch.
Boy, did you see him in midair tuck it right into his belly, though?
Well, you don't coach that. You either do that or you don't.
Play stands.
You bet it stands.
You can't take a catch like that away from anybody.
Drew Hill barely practiced this week. They said, Jerry Glanville said to us yesterday, he's been having a tough time getting in and out of his car. His back has been hurting so much.
Obviously, it doesn't affect his hands.
Zendejas with the extra point. And here is Houston, who looked like they were very, very disorganized, who looked like they were turning in a typical Houston performance on the road, wobbly. Now with 10 seconds to go in the half, from 10-0 down, Moon has fired 2 touchdown passes, and they lead.
Well, a minute, 4 seconds. They do a great job of getting the ball down the field. And then when you've got great athletes like Ernest Givens, Drew Hill, Haywood Jeffries, you got to give them the opportunity. And then the other half of this is Pittsburgh's choice, they go with the blitz. That means man-to-man coverage. And look at this. That ball is, he catches the back end of that football, Jim.
Oh, what a great catch.
They've had the ball now, put 14 points up. So the attitude has changed.
Kind of a pooch kick. And once again, we're going to watch the linebacker make the play. Is coming down with Stowe. Or Gerald Williams, rather, the linebacker. He makes the catch out to the 24-yard line with 6 seconds to go in the half. As Zendejas tried to kind of layer it in there.
Paying a lot of respect to Rod Woodson. They do not want him to run a kickoff back with 6 seconds left in the first half.
Now the ball is out over the 20-yard line on this snow-covered field, out at about the 23, 24-yard line. 6 seconds remaining. Derek Hill, Lips, Stock are all in there. 3 wide receivers. Let's see if Brister airs it out here. He's against the wind, remember. And with 6 seconds, he'll throw a screen to Rodney Carter. And Bubba McDowell trips him up. Good play by the rookie out of Miami, and that will run out the first half. And Houston runs into the locker room with a big head of steam.
Houston's overcome a lot. Bad field position in the first quarter. The turnover. Wait a minute. We got one more play left.
We have a flag.
Must be a flag on the defense. The half can't end with a flag on the defense. See what happens here.
It's offensive holding.
Yeah, so the half will end. Oh, it's against both of them. One more untimed play.
Very good, Bob. Good lip syncing there.
Yeah, but I don't know if either or both team has enough players to get the play off.
If you could check down the far side of the stadium, the Oilers are yelling into their tunnel, hey, come on back out of the locker room. One untimed play. Now, the offensive people and those that are not playing are going to go into the locker room. They're going to get the hot chocolate on warm it up for the rest of the guys.
Brister's gone, Jim. He went into the tunnel. He is gone. They may run a play, but there's no quarterback to do anything with it.
Oh, boy, we've seen it all so far on the first down.
Watch the entrance behind just to the right of the 30-second sign, because Brister's in the locker room.
So they're going to send out the quarterback, Rick Strom, out of Georgia Tech.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Bubby's in there. He's getting some, well, I mean, this is one way for the young man to get a snap.
Yeah, there he is, number 11, Rick Strom out of Georgia Tech. I bet he didn't think he'd get into the game at this point. But Bubby Brister.
First and 10, Pittsburgh ball.
Well, he's just going to kneel down here.
Put a 0 on the clock.
We got one play. Just put 0-0 on the clock. One play.
Okay, Ben, give us the business here. Here comes Bubby back. Bubby's back, turns around, goes back the other way. Wow.
What a finish, huh? There go the Steelers. And there is the great, great receiver, Drew Hill. He made the catch right here, right at the end of the first half for the touchdown that has given the Houston Oilers a 14-10 lead. Warren Moon has thrown 2 touchdown passes. And there you have it. The Oilers were down 10, but now in this big AFC Central Division game at halftime, they lead by 4.